The most intense, thrilling, electrifying sport on the planet. Mixed martial arts. You've been looking for the definitive podcast to call your new home to hear everything about it. The search is over. This is the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. Bringing you the hottest MMA breakdowns straight from the heart of the octagon. This show is all about MMA breakdowns. For fans, by fans. We're talking UFC, MMA, and the occasional big boxing match. We'll bring our unique take on how these fights are going to play out and who we think are the best bets. Welcome to the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. And now your hosts, Olin, a.k.a. MMAnomaly, and Emiliano, a.k.a. Jive Turkey Nano.
What is up, fight fans? Welcome back to another episode of the MMAnomaly Show, No Filter. I'm your host, Olin, a.k.a. MMAnomaly, and with me, as usual, is the co-host with the most. You know I'm talking about Jive Turkey Nano. He's live, he's Jive, and he is here to thrive. Talking about UFC Vegas 105, folks. How we doing, brother?
Let's go. Great intro as always. Great to have you here. We are live, like mentioned. So please let us know if you're live with us as well. Like, comment, subscribe, smash the bell for notifications. But first things first, we're taking a trip to Vegas. We are going to the Apex Center to discuss an Apex COD. Man, I'm excited to be here with you, my brother. Repping the A's today. Got my UFC Sacramento shirt on. Even though my boy repping Sacramento, Josh Emmett, fell a little short. That's a little sneak preview of the main event there. But, brother, I can't wait to dive on in with you, man. We suck again.
It happens to the best of us, my friend. It happens to the best of us. And I love the A's gear. Repping the A's gear in unison with the UFC Sacramento gear. Just repping California in full force, baby. We love to see it. And with that being said, I think we got to jump into this card. I mean, was it the best card you've ever seen? No, probably not. I got to ask how generous you are. Let's see how good of a mood or bad of a mood, or rather honest of a mood the co-host is in today, folks. What would you rate this card on a scale of 1 to 10?
Man.
Let's give it a gymnastics score here.
And saying that it's not a pay-per-view, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and consider it on the level playing field with UFC Apex cards here. That's where it was. Again, not a pay-per-view event here, so don't want to put it up against UFC 300, right? Which was probably as close to a 9.9 or 10 as we can have. But this was not that, right? I'm going to say 6.9. If you're catching what I'm throwing out there, because there is some room for improvement. In some classes that's a C, which will get degrees, but certainly not pretty, right? I mean, it got the job done. Again, there were some fun moments throughout this card. There were some interesting judge cards, I should say, as well. Speaking of cards, so scoring was a little off. I'm going to sneak that in there. Thank you. And there was a few wrestling displays on Saturday. So I guess if you're a new fan, a casual, you may not have necessarily loved what you were seeing if you just casually turned on that TV. But as degenerates, we loved it, man. It was high velocity of just the best of the best doing what they do. And it's a clash of styles, and we obviously saw who got it done here. And 6.9. What about you, brother?
I mean, in comparison to other Apex cards, it's even hard to give it a 6.9 there, in my opinion, bro. Because, we saw Calvin Kattar versus Max Holloway at the Apex. So for me, I gave that card a 9. If that card got a 9, this is like a hard 4.5. So it's my answer is a little bit tougher, rougher around the edges than yours. I'll be honest with you, man. Yeah, I have a hard time giving this anything above a 5. So I'm going to say like a 4.5, like 4.8 if we're doing those types of fractions, maybe. Because, man, it was not the greatest fight night of all time. I'll tell you that. How are we doing, Lazy Bed? My guy, I hope despite the card itself not being the most exciting one, I hope you placed some bets and I hope you cashed all of them, my friend. Glad to see you in the chat. Hope you're having a wonderful Monday night. What up, Andrew? Let's freaking go.
LFG indeed. We see you.
Oh, Speaking of LFG, let's freaking go right on into this women's strawweight bout between Vanessa, Little Monster Demopoulos, and Talita Alencar. Now, you know, on this podcast, we've met Vanessa a handful of times. Big fan of her and her energy that she brings. In this fight, not so much. This was probably the most one-way traffic of the entire fight card, right? It was a tough one to watch. It was a tough one to stomach, especially if you're a Vanessa Demopoulos fan. Even if you're just a fan of mixed martial arts and skilled violence, this was a tough one. 4 out of 5 takedowns landed for Talita Alencar. Vanessa Demopoulos just not able to do a whole lot offensively, only able to land 10 significant strikes across 15 minutes. That's tough, folks. That's like 3.33 significant strikes per 5 minutes. That's pretty terrible. Her opponent landed 45 across that 15 minutes. Lane, what's up? How we doing? Hope you're having a great night. And hope you enjoyed the fights and the watch along. I saw you in there. Man, I just, this was a tough one. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. Talita Alencar did impress me. The way she was able to go out there and get the grappling out early on and just establish it and continue it throughout the entirety of the fight. I was more so than anything shocked that Vanessa didn't have any kind of answer for it at all. Tough to watch again as a Vanessa fan, but this is the sport. This is the game, right? And Talita was the more well-rounded when it comes to the game in this one. So, Nano, what were your thoughts on this? What surprised you, if anything, about Talita Alencar on Saturday night?
Well said, my brother. Way to tee it up for me to go ahead and lay it up in here, man. This was, for me, to answer your question directly, it was the physicality. That's really what stood out to me. We do love a Vanessa Demopoulos around here. She is just an energy that's gravitational. Like you want to be around her. She's fun, very down to earth. Like, and then she goes out there and she usually puts on some great shows. She's a bad chica to say the least, but unfortunately it was a bad night for her. Ruined for her. I think it was just unfortunately Talita being the much better woman, much more physical, like I mentioned. The striking pedigree, her pressure really had Vanessa at certain points what felt like on stilts. She hit her with a couple big shots. And I get it. We're fighting. It's hard to necessarily keep your balance at all times when you're trying to zig and your opponent's zagging. But it was clear that Talita was just the stronger, sharper, just the fighter with the edge, the extra edge that night, unfortunately. With almost a virtual pick'em here. I mean, I'm sure that just goes to show how much Vegas, how much we all respect Vanessa and still want to see her continue to do well, but this was just a tough night for her. And she's someone that's ranked 27th here, little monster, Vanessa Demopoulos, on the Tapology rankings, who is our go-to. So if I'm looking at that, I mean, you got to launch Talita up there, right? In terms of what's next here for the ladies to keep it moving. I do think Talita is someone that probably does deserve to fight in that top 20. At this age, at this stage in her career, she can match well with anybody, right? As someone that recently fought, who just retired, Molly McCann, I like, and Alexia Tayanara, who is probably looking to get more UFC experience. They both just fought recently. I always like looking at that. Tayanara. Come on, man.
It's okay. I mispronounced it the first time we pronounced her name, so it's all good, brother.
It's been a couple weeks. So many names here. I already forgot about
Smoking a tuber and manifesting a hairline like Olin's. Lazy Bet, my friend. I appreciate you.
There's a reason why I wear the hats, Lazy Bet. I'm right there with you, my brother. But yeah, it was a fun fight. I think someone like her would be good, though. I don't know if you have anyone top of mind if we keep it moving, but Gators.
Beautiful lane. Sheesh. Shout out to the Gators. Let's go. I didn't know you were a Florida girl. Yeah, I was actually born in Florida. So shout out to the Gators. Hit him at plus 900 3 months ago and plus 275 a month ago. Let's go. And Andrew Nance. Boom, hit the dab, baby. Let's go. I didn't even know that was an emote until you started throwing it in the chat like a few weeks ago. I'm not going to lie. And yeah, I don't have a name on the tip of my tongue when it comes to what's next for Talita Alencar. I like the Tainara, the call out there. I wasn't planning on playing matchmaker for this one. In the next one here, we had a heavyweight bout between Martin Buday and Lerone Satibaldiev. What a fun name. We're just going to call him US from here on out. In the opening round, I lied. We're going to call him by his name. We're not going to do that. In the opening round, Saltybayev displayed a high level volume of striking, utilized his speed to land combinations while Buday pressed forward, aiming to leverage his size, obviously, did Buday. Buday. Buday pretty effectively used low kicks early on. Started to slow down Saltybayev's movement pretty early on. You could see the legs starting to welt up. And the elephant in the room here is the fact that our guy, Lerone, gave up over 60 pounds of weight. He actually gave up over 80 pounds of weight on the day of the fight. So pretty wild stuff here. As the fight progressed into the second round, Buday's pressure got worse. It intensified tenfold, I would say. He managed to clinch, got Lerone against the cage, employed his weight advantage. Like I said, 80 whole pounds of it in the grappling exchanges, just weighing heavy on his opponent. And then in the final round, you could tell Lerone was kind of aware that he was down on the scorecards, right? He started to increase his aggression, started to really land the combos again like he was in the first round, but it was a little bit too little and too late. He did wobble Buday a little bit, but Buday recovered and reestablished control through the clinch and grappling game. And that's all she wrote, man. Impressive win for Buday. But as LazyBet said here in the chat, impressive showing for Saltybayev on extremely short notice, up a weight class. Again, he gave up 80 pounds here. Been waiting all week for Sterling to pronounce Salty Paul's name. Lane, my gosh. Yeah, no, this is a hard name to pronounce for sure. LazyBet, I've spent the entire last 7 days spreading contagious rumors. Cortavius Romeus, a.k.a. Contagious Rumors, if you ask our guy Sterling. Nano, what were your thoughts on this fight, and can you pronounce that name for the people in the chat?
I thought it was an interesting fight. I will do my best here, as Martin Buday, or Buday, sounds a little bit better in my book, but goes out there and gets the decisive unanimous decision.
Well, I meant the other name.
I was into it. I was in there. I was trying to reread it. Ladies and gentlemen, what you saw there was me doing what's called stalling, okay? I was trying to give myself enough time to read this over in my head, but I'm going to go with the unanimous decision over Lerone Saltybayev. I don't think I'm right, but I try to put some emphasis on there as much as I could. But we shouldn't be giving him too much credit here, because he basically looked like a featherweight going out there and fighting a heavyweight. It did make me realize how big of a discrepancy that 60 pounds makes. It almost makes me, and I've never really thought about this until after rewatching the card here, that maybe we need like a division in between to kind of break off from like 200 to 220, and then 220 to, I guess, 260, which is still 40 pounds. But that just seems so crazy that, like, to your point, this guy that's 220, I guess, soaking wet, is going in there against a guy that cut down to 266 and is probably at 270, 280, I would assume. These men are very, very big sons of guns. So that was something I thought about as I'm watching Lerone give his best effort. I mean, it was like Hercules fighting one of those giants. He just was giving his best shot, man. It just really couldn't affect Martin's just size and strength, and then the physicality piece as well, to continue to use the same vocabulary here tonight. Just rinse, recycle, repeat on my end. But it was entertaining. It was heavyweight fighting. Unranked guys. Again, big discrepancy. Martin Buday did what he had to do. I'll die. But and his nickname was Baddies. I like that. Baddies. Or Baddies, either way. I like what I'm seeing, though. 15-2 record. He's
Martin Badass Buday.
Badass. Well, he is a badass. And as someone in the heavyweight division here, ranked 31, and going to Tapology. I wonder if he's still fine, but him against like a Beast Boy would be a fun one. They're sitting there back to back here in the rankings. A little Chris Barnett action. I don't know, man. I don't know if you have anyone else top of mind, but
I like Chris Barnett, actually. I think Chris Barnett would be a really, really good showing for Martin Buday. And both guys are kind of at that place in their career where I think they line up very well. Don't know how long it's going to take for Barnett to get back in there. Beast Boy, his last fight was a very, very depressing one. He went out there and got a little leg injury on him. So things you hate to see. But if he's able to come back fairly quickly, I'd love to see that one. I'm going to go and pour up a shot for this one because I didn't get many wrong on this card, folks. But this was one of the very, very few that I did. I think I got 3 in totality wrong that I felt confident in giving a pick on in this one. So go ahead and pour one up. And it wasn't just me, folks. I think everybody was betting against Buday. At least everybody in the underdogs competition. This was the only unanimous this was the only unanimous loss on the card last week, if I remember correctly. So Drew in the chat, my guy, said shot o'clock.
Let's go.
Can't wait till you're here in person on Saturday for the birthday, brother. You already know it's gonna be shot o'clock then, baby. Shot time, bowl in the air. You already know we'll do both here.
Man,
boom.
Look at that. Best of both worlds. I see you, Nance. I see you.
Cheers, folks. If you're here, if you're drinking, raise one up with us. Whatever you're drinking, doesn't matter. We appreciate you. It could be water, it can be alcoholic. Either way, raise it up proudly. Enjoy this next sip with us, and thank you for being here. Cheers, folks.
Salud.
And shout out Mountain Dew for bringing Baja Blast back to cans. The best chaser in the world.
Good times.
It's cheap.
Some things are right in the world again. So I'm talking about
facts, man. They can't ruin everything, Nano has the fighting spirit. Yes, he does. He's sipping on a Modelo, brewed for those with the fighting spirit.
Stella time, lazy bedded. You know that.
You already know. Speaking of what time it is, Victor Henry in this bantamweight division coming in against Pedro Falcao. A lot of people were telling me I was crazy for betting on Victor Henry here. But man, if there's anything I learned a long time ago, right, Nano? We bet against Victor Henry when he was going against the young man that just dismantled Peyton Talbot. And Victor Henry went out there and made it look real good. So I knew he was going to go out here and do the same thing against the younger, less experienced Pedro Falcao. But I digress. I took the lead on the last couple. So, Nano, talk to me, Goose.
I will, my brother. I will talk to you and the 20 of you listeners here with us. We appreciate all of you being here with us every single Tuesday and Thursday, or, well, twice a week. Days may vary. You know the vibe. This was an interesting fight, though, man. This was a fun exchange, back and forth. Both guys were absolutely laying it out there on the line. But it really just felt like Victor Henry had more tools in the bag. He had a little bit more firepower, was able to stay on the gas a little bit longer than Pedro Falcao. Falcao. Pedro Falcao. Jeez, took me a while to get there. But all jokes aside, man, I mean, Pedro had his moments. In that second round, he really tried to ramp up, get the takedowns, make it muddy for Victor Henry. But Victor was able to make the adjustments, continue to outstrike him, just continue to outclass him, for lack of a better phrase. Did a great job mixing it up, stuffing the takedowns, even got one of his own. Then you go into that third round, same exact scenario here. Stuffed Pedro 4 times, was able to land 1 takedown. But again, all in all, when you look at the striking differential, and again, just someone like a Victor Henry, who we've seen lose to a Charles Air Jourdain, who is no joke. On any given night, he can beat the best of them. And since then, he's stacked up a lot of wins. This is another one that's gone well for him. He had that bout with Javid Basharat, who, I guess, it was a no contest, kind of a wonky blimp on his pedigree, or on his resume, I should say. But other than that, man, like you mentioned, he beat a Raoni Barcelos, who went out and made Peyton Talbot look like a nobody. So I think, all things considered, Victor showed he's someone that has a lot of skills, has a lot of promise. He's continuing to get better, and it was a great decisive win, man. I'll dish it back to you. Hopefully I left a little meat on the bones, but did anything stick out to you?
I mean, you devoured all the meat off that fucking bone, kid.
I was hungry. I was ready to jump in, man.
That was a good breakdown as always there, brother. Look, Victor Henry and Pedro Falcao was one of the more fun fights, right? It delivered in big ways. It was technical. It was fast paced. It showcased that high level of scrambles that we're used to seeing in the bantamweight division, right? Both men brought well-rounded skill sets. And Henry started really strong with sharp striking, forward pressure. Falcao relying on the grappling early, scoring some timely takedowns in there, getting 4 out of 13 of his takedowns landed, to be exact. Took the back multiple times, but Henry showed great composure and exactly what I said last week, if you guys and gals were paying attention. Experience, right? He showed his experience, his veteranship inside of that UFC octagon, consistently reversing positions and landing the more significant shots throughout the fight. The fight was pretty competitive throughout, but Henry's control and transitions just proved to be a little bit too much. If you combine that with his volume of striking out there, the unanimous 29-28 decision was absolutely warranted. I did think it was pretty fantastic that he referenced the majestic mustache, as Lazy Bed said here in the chat, multiple times of Falcao after the fight in the post-fight speech. He said he felt it wiggle, said Andrew Nunz. That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, it was a hilarious post-fight speech. Definitely had me giggling too. So, big fan of this guy. Always have been. He kind of looks like Peter Frampton. Like, he looks like an 80s rock star for sure, Victor Henry. Big fan in every way, shape, and form. The knockdown was nice. The triple-digit strikes were nice. And I think what's next for him should be nice as a result. I got 3 names on the tip of my tongue, Nano, just like the 3 digits of strikes that he landed out there in that fight. So I got a Javid Basharat, which, as you said, right, they have the kind of iffy fight that has already happened there. I got a Miles El Chapo Johns, which I think would be a very, very fun one. And then last but certainly not least, at the top of my list, I have a Mario Bautista. What are your thoughts, comments, concerns? And what up, Capitan Rafucho? How you doing, Raf?
Hey, El Capitan's around. Great to see you. Great to have you. If you're here too, let us know. We'll shout you out. I like a Victor King Henry against all 3 of those guys, honestly. I mean, I think he did a good job of kind of giving us the different levels, depending on how much of an appetite Dana White and the Brash would have for more Victor Sir King Henry. I'm trying that. I don't know if it really fits, but we'll take it. I like it. I think my favorite one, Mario Batista, seems a little too rich for my blood, if I'm being honest. I don't want to get diabetes, so I might have to tamper my expectations a little bit lower. But I'll tell you what, even the Bashar one's interested. I mean, it was a no contest. It had a canceled bout. Could get some finality there, if that makes sense. But to be honest, if you're giving me some Chepe, what are we talking about? Give me Mas Chepe. Mas Chepe every time.
Love that. And with that being said, let's go ahead and move on into the women's strawweight division. We are moving on right through this card, folks. We have better pacing than the card itself did, possibly on Saturday night, I'm thinking. And with that being said, this fight was a really, really fun one as far as pace goes, in my opinion. We had Loma Lookbonme coming in against Estela Nunez. I'll be honest, Nano, I'll keep it pretty short and sweet here. I thought this fight went fairly how I thought it was going to go. I thought that if Nunez was able to engage in the ground control, it was going to be a bad news bears situation. But otherwise, Loma Lookbonme would probably start to control on the feet. It was a competitive strawweight bout. There were blends of striking and grappling exchanges. Dare I say, they mixed the martial arts. No. Lookbonme, known for her Muay Thai expertise, effectively utilized clinch work and side striking. Landing those uppercuts, elbows. She was nasty with it. On the separate, always landing a long strike with those. Nunez, again, attempted to leverage her reach advantage here and distance strikes while also trying to get the fight to the ground. The one attempt was a fail. Ultimately, it came down to Lookbonme's superior clinch control and her striking in close quarters, right? She was able to really dictate the pace of the fight, control the range of the fight, and that makes a huge difference when you're going against someone who is really relying on that range. She essentially deleted the reach advantage that Estela Nunez brought to the table right now. So have 3 names on the tip of my tongue for this one, but I'm gonna let you do your breakdown and then we'll hash that out. Did anything stand out to you or surprise you about Loma Lookbonme, or are you just continuing to ride the fan hype train here?
I'm gonna go ahead and Lookbonme. I'm gonna continue to look at Lookbonme because I like what I'm seeing. Okay, she's very, very talented. I think what I guess surprised me or what I appreciated seeing was her adjustments throughout that fight. She knew she had a young, hungry Istela Nunes in front of her who really felt like she won the fight. But really, when you look at the X's and O's, it was a close first and second round. Maybe you can make a case Estela might have won maybe one of those, but not both for sure. And then you look at that third round, and Loma did kind of quote unquote wake up or make it put an exclamation point, put the dagger in it and said, hey, I for sure am the one that's the better fighter later in the fight here in the third round. You typically win that when it's a close back and forth bout like it was. I feel like you got to get the nod. Estela was, again, shooketh that she did not win, which I found a little shocking, but what can you do?
What?
Say what? Only landed 10 strikes in that last round. Come on, girl. You got to do more than that. You got to make it definitive, or don't leave it in the judges' hands. Because, again, we saw some crazy scorecards, y'all. Some crazy scorecards. But, again, Lookbonme, she did what she had to do, man. She got through a really tough opponent. She uses that, Thailand Muay Thai skill to her advantage, and she's continuing to get better, which is all you want to do as a mixed martial artist. And with that being said, I mean, we could hash it out, but I guess maybe do we ask the question, and maybe we got to let our viewers let us know how they're feeling here, or give us a thumbs up, a thumbs down. Is she worthy of a top 15er? Does she need to potentially have that number next to her name? That's the question I want to pose to y'all out there, and to my hostess with the most MMAnomaly. How you feeling about this, brother? What's next for Loma Lookbonme?
Well. When it comes to Loma Lookbonme, I mean, the most obvious one, right? It's got to be Ariane Canelossi, who had a canceled bout against a Loma Lookbonme on April 5th. That was the original opponent here. It got canceled. If it's not anything too serious, if it was like a sickness or something like that, reschedule that one. It makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, I'm not mad at like a Luana Pinheiro or a Tabitha Baby Shark Ricci. I think those are really, really fun names to throw in the hat. And honestly, I'd be happy with just closing our eyes and grabbing one out, man. Do you have some names on the tip of your tongue? And people in the chat, let us know. Who do you think should be next?
Let us know. And if you're watching here on the YouTubes, then you would have saw my reaction. And if you're not, hop over when you can. Hit the like button. That helps us out. Hit that subscribe. Do us a solid. But the name I had on the tip of my tongue was what you said, man. We're high-minded. I like Luana Pinheiro. Okay, she's coming off a loss against Jillian Robertson. The red El Diabla, back in November, and you got to get back out there. You can't have a top 15 number next to your name without earning it, and not going out and getting another win there. Oh, lazy bed. Okay, nobody ranked yet. I'm giving Loma a young up-and-comer, future stalwart, Fatima Klein. Oh, dude, okay. I like the narrative.
Fatima Klein is a good call out, lazy bet.
I like it. Yeah. And she's a beast.
She's a beast, man. She's a good one to go against, to be honest. I think Lazy Bet might be onto something here, man. Definitely not mad at it. Speaking of not being mad, Leroy Jenkins in the chat. How we doing, my friend? Always love to see you here. Hope you're having a fantastic night. Loved seeing you on Saturday for the live watch along. If you didn't get to check that out, it's up on the YouTube channel. Make sure you do go and check that out after the episode tonight. With that being said, isn't it actually kind of funny that he showed up right when we're talking about his only fighter, or the only fighter from our competition, our UFC fantasy competition that went this week? One Loma Lookbonme, who got him, I believe, 86.84 points. Hold on. I hate myself if I actually remembered that. exactly correct. I'm looking this up. 81.82. Okay, I was off. Thank God. That would have been very neurotic and just psychotic of me to remember. 81.82 points, though, bro. Not bad. Not bad at all, Leroy. Especially for a women's strawweight bout. They usually don't get points very high over like the 70, 80 point threshold. So anything over 70 is really, really solid stuff, man. My guy. Love to see it. Speaking of things you love to see, one man named Rhys Mckee. He was in the welterweight division, you see, and he's always taking short notice fights. He's a company man, real company man. But he finally got a full camp at the right weight class. A little bit of an advantage. And there were people saying that Frunza was the dog to pick this week, but I knew better. I was on that. I thought the fight probably could have been stopped early on. Rhys dropped him nasty. There was actually one point. So they only marked 3 knockdowns, but I counted 4. And there was also a point in time where when he knocked his opponent down the 4th time, I believe it was Bisping that gave the shout. But again, I could be wrong. Where they said, or no, I think maybe it was Dom actually. They said either way. They said if this was boxing, it would have been stopped already because he's been dropped over 3 times. Yeah. Why was that not stopped at that point? Like the homie was just eating shots. Was Daniel Frunza. So you gotta let this guy. I mean, like I get letting him go out on their shield, but man, this Daniel Frunza guy ate a ton of unnecessary damage. His lip was split open, and just things you don't need to see, man. I don't need to say much else. I thought the striking was on full display here from Rhys Mckee. It's his first UFC victory, like I said, dominant performance over Daniel Frunza. From the opening bell, Mckee showcased the superior striking, had the reach advantage, and it was obvious. Knocked down Frunza over 3 times. Despite surviving, it was stopped ultimately in between the first and second round. And Rhys Mckee got a $50K performance of the night bonus off of it. So good for him. Very, very happy to see it. What's this? Almost midnight here. Catch you blokes on playback. All right, Leroy. Well, have a great night, my friend. As Lane said, pretty weak. But we know you're strong, so we'll let it slide, my friend. Sweet dreams, as Nano said. And Nano, what were your thoughts on this Rhys Mckee dominant performance?
Rhys Mckee. I loved it, my brother. It was fun, man. This guy really kind of bad break to start the UFC. You mentioned this being his first win. And like Lazy Bed mentioned here, to kind of caveat with what he's saying, he thinks the UFC matchmakers did Rhys dirty. Dealt him a
I disagree, Lazy Bed. I think Khamzat's an easy first draw on short notice in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, sometimes you get draw the short end of the stick. But hey, that just goes to the character. That goes to the heart, the absolute junkyard dog that a Rhys Mckee is. So I love it, man. He went out there. He's got the line on his tongue. He's got the line hard as well, man. I liked what I saw, though. I mean, he absolutely whooped some ass. Opened up a can of whoop ass. Got performance of the night. So he's getting a pretty penny as well. Yeah, to your point, I thought it could have been over as well. Jason Herzog really took his sweet time, just letting Frunza make his way back into that fight, which I do got to give him his credit as well. I mean, granted, some of those might have maybe just been flash knockouts after a while, but the way he recovered, got back up, and was up and at him, I mean, it was rather impressive. So he made Jason Herzog's job hard to do, which is what you're trying to do as a fighter, right? You don't want to make it easy for him, but that was a butt whooping, a great performance by a young Irishman sitting there at 29 years old. I was going to Google it, but it is tattooed on the stomach. So we know how old he is. We know what time it is. And we know he's just getting into his prime here, my brother. I guess the question I'd pose is, do we line him up with somebody that's in a similar range? Do we need to get him some wins over guys that have a little bit more notable named that aren't necessarily high ranked, but, are also dogs? So I got a couple names in mind, but I'm curious to hear if you got a name.
I don't think you're going to like any of my names. Because my names are weird ones. Like even I found myself saying like, why are we writing this down right now? But I digress. I have like names of people that continue to fight past their prime that I think would be a good matchup for him to build his name off of, since the UFC has done him dirty, to Lazy Bed's point, right? So like a Nico Price, right? If he's still under contract. An Alex, the Great White Morono, coming off of a loss, if he's still under contract. A Max Payne Griffin, who just signed another multi-fight contract with the UFC. I don't know. Those are the names I got. I know there are 3 names that are way more, way heavy in terms of star value in comparison to the Rhys Mckees of the world. But again, as Lazy Bet said, they didn't really do the guy any favors when he came in, and he did them a lot of favors. So I think it's time for the tables to turn a little bit and for them to do him a little bit of a favor here. Lazy Bet throwing in the chat before I pass it over to you here. D-Rod Daniel Rodriguez. Tough challenge, but doable. I'm not mad at that. I'm definitely not mad at that. But I don't love that matchup for Rhys Mckee at all. D-Rod's a tough welterweight, bro.
He's a tough guy, but he is an aging veteran that I think if it were to happen anytime soon, I mean, honestly, Rhys he's starting to get better and better, man. He's only 29 years young. I wouldn't mind seeing him go up against another young buck. Someone that, like you said, does have some name value. What's funny is one of the names I did mention wasn't number 1 for my list, but I did have Nico Price on there. I love how we're both at least buzzing around the same, the same beehive here. So with that being said, honestly, the name I kind of like, he's a 32-year-old coming off a couple wins, a recent TKO as well. So both these guys have that in the bag. I'm talking about a Punahele Soriano. Absolute banger of a fight. Could be on another UFC Apex or a PPV. Oshizi. And that's how I feel.
Oshizi. You already know, brother. Yeah, that'd be a fun one. Little coconut bomb action there, brother. Yeah, that'd be a really, really fun matchup. And with that being said, speaking of fun matchups, this next one was a fun one. I'll be honest with you. I threw in a last-minute 2-leg parlay. I put 1 unit in on Rhys Mckee to win via finish, and Dione Barbosa versus Dione Barbosa going over 11 minutes. As we know, that did not cash. That did not cash. Oh, man. I was like, oh, it's on the ground. This is actually doable because, like, Dione Barbosa is pretty good on the ground, you know? We made the joke last week. I keep forgetting it was crossover, and now you last week. But we made the joke last week about Deanna, rhyming with Velveeta. Kind of cheesy joke, but I'm going to make it again. Usually cheese takes a little bit longer to melt than that, especially if we're talking about that processed Velveeta stuff. But 4 minutes and 13 seconds is all it took her opponent to go out there and get it done. Look, her opponent is a bit of a witch, okay? Her nickname is the Witch, and I think she truly went out there and cast a spell with that arm triangle choke, right? It was nasty work, the way she put away Dione Barbosa. I am going to go ahead and pour up my second shot of the night for this one because, dude, it's tough. It's tough. Dione Barbosa is one of those chicks that we want to see do really well, but she's just had a tough run. And Dione Barbosa at only 10 fights coming into this one. Of course, now improving to 11 fights with 8 wins and 3 losses. She went out there and pulled a little bit of a gambit, if I'm being completely honest now.
You know how long I've been waiting for this? Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
Bro, she went out there and did the thing. So pouring one up. Nano's going to drink straight from the bottle like a fucking beast right now. And cheers to Dione Barbosa, to the parlay not hitting, and to the parlays hitting this weekend. You know why? Because on UFC 314 is my birthday. So we have to make some money for my birthday. We're up on the year. We're down on the week. And by golly, we are about to freaking start this month off in a real right way. Moving into the first pay-per-view here of the month. The only pay-per-view of the month. But you get what I'm saying here, folks. Cheers to you. Cheers to us. Cheers to the growth and all the tickets you cashed. And if you didn't cash this week, you will on 314. Cheers, folks. Let's go.
Hello.
Lazy bed. Belbita finished defeated twice by Molly, once via sub. The same Molly who just laid down the gloves a few weeks ago. Might be time. You know, you might not be wrong there, Lazy Bed. And 15-10, she's about a 500 fighter at this point, so it's tough. It's tough to argue. Nano, did you have any names on the tip of your tongue for Dione Barbosa, and what should be next?
Oh, man. I mean, with that kind of performance, to go out there, get a performance of the night, go ahead and just whoop up on a Ms. Belbita. Not to be too cheesy with the jokes there, run back years there, but yeah, she's in that number 30 in the top rankings. So honestly, the name that I like, and I kind of hate saying it because I do like her husband, but I'm looking at a Veronica Hardy that needs a dance partner, and I reckon Barbosa might be a good one. And the thing is with Dione Belbita there too, it's a physicality thing. I mean, that was Barbosa's big edge. I mean, just look at her, and then you look at a Diana. She was getting pushed around, just didn't have an answer, and you got to be tough in this game. You got to have an edge to you, and I just would say they wore that weight a bit different in there to complete my 2 cents on that quick submission win from a Dione Barbosa. But yeah, I think of Veronica. Then they're both kind of inching closer to that top 15. You got anyone top of mind? Or Lazy Bad?
I do.
Out there as well.
I have two names that make sense. I have two names that make sense, and then I have one name that doesn't really make sense. And Lazy Bed, like I said, his comment might be time to hang him up for Belbita. But when it comes to her opponent, Barbosa, I think she's showing that she has that grit. She has that boxy, as you say, right? So I got 3 names. 2 that might make a little bit of sense, and 1 that possibly makes a little bit of sense. If they really, really, really want to fast track her. So Luana Carolina, right? Tough, durable striker, heavy UFC experience, similar to the level of competition. Barbosa's grappling could be tested against Carolina's range and movement too. Brazil versus Brazil matchup. You can book this in a Rio de Janeiro card or a Brazil card. This would be a really, really fun one for fans to attend, and one where the UFC can make money. JJ Aldrich, I can't remember if she recently got cut or if she does still have a UFC contract, but again, bit of a seasoned vet, pretty solid boxing and takedown defense. A win over a JJ Aldrich would show that she's really, really ready for the boost up in competition. And it'd be the grappling versus striker narrative that we love getting, right, all the time. That makes us feel like we're watching UFC 1 through 15. And then I said I had a third name for you that didn't make a whole lot of sense, but I figured I'd just throw a fucking crazy one at you. If Natalia Silva loses her next fight or struggles to find another fight, and they want to fast track a Barbosa, I think this could be a good heater. Again, between 2 surging Brazilian talents, elite athleticism, diverse styles, and Silva's on a real hot streak though, so I doubt she'd take it. But again, if they wanted to do that, if they wanted to kind of fast track her, so to speak, I think that'd be a fun matchup stylistically. Yeah,
you can make a case. We've seen crazier things. I mean, especially when you have a decisive win like that, anything's possible.
Anything is possible. Speaking of anything being possible, let's see here. Aldrich and Hardy are both good shouts. I like both. I really like the Hardy one, to be honest. I actually like that one better than the names I came up with. I just don't like that because I'm a Hardy fan, and I think that'd be a tough matchup for her, which you did preface with, so appreciate you. Speaking of, anything can happen. To start off the main card, we had a middleweight bout between Torrez Finney and Robert Valentin. This was a tough watch. You had one guy that landed 17 strikes against a guy that landed 93 strikes. One man landed 4 significant strikes. The other landed 23 significant strikes. So if you're gathering anything, right, is that there was 27 significant strikes landed between both men in a 15-minute fight. That's a hard watch. That is a really hard watch. 8 of 17 takedowns landed for Torrez Finney, who basically looked like he had just picked up EA UFC 5 and only learned how to do takedowns. And then started playing online. He was just spamming the double leg, doing anything he could to retain that precious undefeated marker. At the cost of losing fans and possibly getting cut, right? Like, this is not the type of win that is going to make Dana rush to keep you signed or on the roster. Did he get 2 paychecks? Yes. That's what he went out there to do. So good on him. This was a terrible fight. This was not a fun fight.
Tough watch. It was tough.
Nobody enjoyed this fight. It wasn't great, right? One guy was going after takedowns. The other man was going after literally everything else, trying to do damage. Torrez Finney, again, he got the judges' scorecard win, but I don't think he did himself or us fans any favors, right, Nano? What were your thoughts on this fight for as much of it as you were able to stay awake and watch?
Good call out there, my brother. Yeah, I mean, it was a tough watch. I mean, I guess my big takeaway was, Torrez Finney had one goal, one job to go out there and do. And, as much as we can be frustrated at him and him, his style of fighting, it's also on Mr. Robert Valentin over here, Mr. Valentin. He should have an answer for it, and he really didn't. But I don't know how the hell this was a split decision. I was talking about the judges and their scorecards on this being a little wonky. This was by far and away the wonkiest one. I don't know what the one judge saw, and apparently he was a ex-boxing judge, so maybe he looked at it from that lens. But either way, there was no chance in hell that Robert won that fight, in my opinion. Granted, yeah, he landed more strikes. Yeah, he had a big third round, which maybe you can make a case that he won that third round potentially on this strikes alone, but you really can't give him a case for doing any of those other rounds with just the control time, the amount of takedowns, just the pressure that Mr. Finney put on Robert. I mean, I just shook it, to use that word again. Can't believe that was a split decision. But outside of that, yeah, in terms of what's next, I don't even know if I want to match him up with anybody. I mean, and it sucks because, if you're Bo Nickel and you're wrestling like that, all of a sudden you're the next greatest thing, undefeated, all this and that, the other. But he even talked about his performance being a little bit lackluster. Torrez Finney did in his post-fight press conference. So maybe just having some humility will give Dana White and the Brash, him the benefit of the doubt, maybe give him another shot. But I'd be curious, man. I don't know. Right. And then who do you feed him to? Everyone has a dance partner right now that's in the top 40 to 50. And I don't really want to throw him too high up there with all the big dogs because I got to see a little bit more. I don't think that performance earned it for me. Maybe a Bruno the Hulk Fajeda would be as high as I'd want to go, just because I think he'd beat him, and that would just be a win.
More takedowns by Finney than significant strikes landed. Wild. Nearly as many Contender Series appearances as significant strikes. That's incredible.
Crazy stat. That's the stat of the day right there.
Lane said, I have no takeaway. Fuck Finney, never again. Yeah, fair. It's a shame for Finney. He's super marketable, has a unique look, cuts a mean promo, good backstory. Shame he keeps laying eggs. Yeah, you're not wrong. But you know what? They say God giveth and he taketh away, but when he taketh away, he giveth the next day. I made up that last part just so it rhyme. And here we go for the next time into the flyweight division, folks, for a bout that took place between Ode Osborne and Luis Gurul. This was an incredibly fun fight. So, let's talk about the Jamaican sensation. Making a statement. Ode Osborne just bounced back into the win column in a very big way this past Saturday, stopping Luis Gurul in the very second round, folks. He came out there laser focused, calm, calculated, deadly. Gurul tried to bring that early pressure. He tried to bring the onslaught of power, but Ode said, nah, bro. And he slipped that shot. Boom! dropped him with a picture-perfect counter left hand. It was nasty. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. I know it caught a lot of you guys off guard, but that was my dog of the week for the underdog competition against the boys from across the pond. You already know it brought me back up. Missed a whole week of dog picks. Went from first, ruling the bracket, down to below middle of the freaking table. And now, just like that, we are tied for second again, baby. Let's go. We are 1 point away from the top, and that is what we love to see because we're not going to stop. Speaking of someone who's not going to stop, this is the Buday Osborne we love to see. Explosive, precise, dangerous from bell to bell. He looked really good. And just like I said last week, folks, I thought he won that Ronaldo Rodriguez fight. I really, really do. This one, he did not leave anything to the table. Nothing to the judges. Nothing to the imagination. He just went out there and did exactly what he needed to do. Nothing more, nothing less, folks. So now the question lies, what is next for the Jamaican sensation? Do I have names off the tip of my tongue? Yes. Do I have 3 of them again? Yes. Am I going to make you wait 2 to 3 minutes for them? Yes, because Nano has to talk about this fight first. Nano! Hopefully I didn't take all the meat off the bone on that one, my boy, because this was one hell of a fun fight between Buday Osborne and Luis Gurul. What were your thoughts on our guy getting back into the win column?
Exactly right, brother. He did exactly what he had to do. Buday, a.k.a. TKODE, that he debuted after that hell of a performance where he went out there and it was just as cool as a summer breeze, baby. That's all he did. Nice, cool, calm, collected in there, which is really what you want from your fighters. He made the adjustments after that first round, which, again, I think Luis Gurul, solid fighter. Not to give him some credit there. He looked to post some threats, but like Buday mentioned, and I love how thoughtful he is in his responses, letting people know, I was conserving energy, like straight up. I said, okay, I'll take that. I've been wrestling with great guys like Aljo. We're talking about an ex-champ here, y'all. And Alex Perez, a just absolute savage, a dude that's a veteran that's been in the top 15 for a long time. 2 of the best. I mean, you could call it what it is. 2 of the baddest dudes on the planet at that weight. And so you're wrestling and tussling and fumbling and bustling with those guys. Iron sharpens iron. We love saying that around here. That's exactly what we saw from Buday Osborne, man. Riding that crazy chain just like Ozzy Osbourne did. Man, just wanted to throw that out there. But it was a fun performance, brother. It's exactly what we want to see from Buday. Performance of the night, just great striking, patience, and a oh shit moment. In terms of what's next, I mean, man, wouldn't you love to see him in the top 15? I know I would, brother. But throw him in there against anybody is my thought. I don't know if you have a name. You've been hitting the bullseye on the dartboard today with these name call outs. So who do you got? Tell the people what they want to hear.
Well, somebody who never, ever, ever freaking ever says no to sign the dotted line is a Charles Energy Johnson, right? And they have fought before. Charles took the L on that one, so you got to think he'd be willing to run it back. And Charles Johnson is someone that is in the rankings right now. You look down the list there, and, I mean, you got to look down at, the long-lost Beetle brother, Zolga Zumagilov, on a bit of a skid here lately. But, again, somebody that I think makes a lot of sense. Very active. He's very durable, experienced guy. I think he gives Osborne a pretty good test across 3 rounds. And it'd be a fun veteran clash. Other than that, how do we feel about a striker versus grappler match here, Nano? A little Tagir Ulanbekov versus our guy, Buday Osborne. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm biting off more than I can chew with this one, but I think those are fun matchups. The one I'd be most excited about would be Charles Johnson, but I would also be least as excited for that one because it's 2 guys I really, really like. And I would have a hell of a time betting or more or less even picking for a show on that one, man.
Yeah, it'd be a tough one. But I think these are the right guys that Buday should be fighting next. He's a household name. He's put in his years. He's getting on a fight winning streak now. If not a Tagir, which to your point, styles make fights. I don't know if I want to see any more wrestlers or strikers after last Saturday. Maybe I want to see a little break from that for, I don't know, maybe like 10 years or something. No, just kidding. But the person I do want to see, and when you said someone that always answers the bell, I thought you were going to say somebody else. I thought of a Joshua Van sitting at 14. Always answers the bell. Young buck, wants to get out there. He'd probably say yes to someone like an O'Day who's been in the game for a while, who has a lot of just fights in the UFC. But then again, I don't know. I'm looking in the comments, and I think Lazy Bed just made me feel like I shit the bed with that pick just now, because he's saying O'Day versus Edgar Chairez. My man, Lazy Bed, I see you. Not lazy on the picks. That's a hell of a pick. Si se puede. I think you book it. Come on. I rest my case.
Let's go. That's a good one, baby. That's a good one. Much needed bounce back for O'Day. Had himself a power corner with Aljo and Dewey Cooper. You ain't lying, man. Dewey Cooper is one of those underrated names, my friend. Just wild. Just wild. You'd love to see the right people in the right corners here and backing the right fighters. O'Day's a class act, and he's someone we love to see get back into the win column. So, with that being said, we move on into the next fight, which took place in the middleweight division. It was a bout between Brad Tavares and GM3, Gerald Meerschaert. If you know me, big fan of the 3, because that's me. I'm also a 3. So I had to back my guy, the man, the myth, the legend, the 3rd, Gerald Meerschaert. And so we do another one, because this, I thought, look, Brad Tavares is somebody who 5 years ago, you asked me this question, Nano, I would wholeheartedly be like, no chance does Brad Tavares lose this fight against GM3. But that's back in the day when Brad Tavares would not give up takedowns to anybody. In recent years, we've seen Brad Tavares give up takedowns to a lot less opposition. So I just thought it was going to be a lot easier for Gerald Meerschaert, who was not able to go out there and land a single takedown out of 8 attempts. But I'm not going to do the breakdown first on this. I'm going to do a shot, and then you are going to do the breakdown. Nano, raise up your bottle. Cheers, folks. To those of you that drink with us. To those of you that don't, drink with us as well, just non-alcoholic edition. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate you being clear. And we appreciate you hitting that like button, the subscribe button, smashing the bell for notifications. And if you did none of those things, we appreciate you being here just to keep us company on this beautiful Monday night. You could be anywhere in the world, and you're right here with us. So stay tuned. We got a few more fights to go. We're going to keep it flowing. Let's go, folks. Cheers to you.
Salud.
Beautiful stuff. Speaking of beautiful stuff, Nano, tell us how you felt about this fight.
Well, some nostalgia. I felt a little nostalgia would be the one word I would use to describe this fight here in the middleweight division with our boy Brad Tavares getting an edgy win over a GM3. And really, I think the narrative here was just GM3 not really being able to establish any striking, which really we all know is to get to the wrestling, get to the clinch, and then get his opponents to the ground and get another one of those submissions or one of those finishes like he has so many of, like he's done so many times in the past. But we know Father Time's undefeated, okay? And I don't care how cool your mustache is, doesn't mean you're going to win the fight, okay? I love me some GM3, but Brad Tavares, man, that takedown defense, stuffing him a perfect 0 for 8, Gerald Meerschaert went. So he stuffed every single one of the takedowns, had that kind of light Muay Thai type stance, throwing the leg kicks out there, the knees, and just making it a problem for GM3. And he looked uncomfortable. Just really wasn't able to get it going. To use maybe just any kind of sports term, couldn't get the offense generated. Defense is always there. And I say better defense won over the offense in this matchup here. So I like what I'm seeing from Brad Tavares, and I like these kind of matchups, like OGs, guys that aren't necessarily trying to like fight some young buck or go for a title shot. I think these are the right kind of fights I want to see from either of these two guys moving forward, if we hopefully see him again. But to your point, we'll leave that for the end. How'd you feel about it, brother? And that sounds like you had GM3.
I did, man. That's what the shot was for. I definitely had GM3, man. I thought he'd be able to go out there and suffocate his opponent. And real quick, shout out to the legend, iShowtime. Let's go, dude. If you're not already subscribed to this dude's channel on Twitch, make sure you go check him out. He plays UFC 5 all the time, as well as other games. And he's also doing a little bit of professional fighting himself. He's done some boxing matches as well as MMA, and his older brother trains with him and has fought as well. Absolute beast of a fighter and even more of a beast of a human being. Great dude. Make sure you check him out. Jack Director, Brad Tavares, don't age, man. You're right. Unfortunately, you're right, dude. He does not age, Jack Director. And my pick did. GM3. He's 37-19 as GM3. His opponent, Brad Tavares, 21-11 now with this win, adding the 1 to the 20 there. This is tough. Again, 0 for 8. 0 for 8 on takedowns. But I digress. I'm gonna change characters here for a second. Nano, I'm gonna stop crying about Gerald Meerschaert and just say this. Brad Tavares is back in the win column, baby. After a 2-fight skid, the Killer Bee stepped up, put on a little bit of a clinic against, as I've stated, an always dangerous Gerald GM3 Meerschaert this past Saturday. Tavares looked pretty composed from the start of the fight. He started picking apart Meerschaert with crisp strikes. The jab looked to be really on point for him, showing he's still got that elite level of striking and movement. And then, boom, left hook, right hand. I mean, we all saw it, right? He was landing big shots, crispy in the pocket. Look, Meerschaert had his moments, but Tavares was too fast, too smart, and too controlling when it came to the distance of the fight. Mixing it up, as we say, mixing the martial arts. It was the performance we've been waiting for if you're a Brad Tavares fan, right? He also tied Michael Bisping's record for most middleweight wins in UFC history, I believe, a legendary achievement. So he's still climbing. He is still climbing that ladder, folks. And shout out, what up, Juice Man 562? Always happy to see you in the chat as well, my friend. Hope you're having a beautiful Monday night.
What up, Joe?
Man.
And we are excited for 314. That's for damn sure.
Shout out Tavares, despite Olin's L, for typing this wins record.
Nice.
Oh, man.
Classic.
No. This was a tough fight. Do you have any names on the tip of your tongue for Brad Tavares?
Yeah, and again, man, he's 37. You know, I know he's got this resurgence here, and he's got a lot of fights in the UFC. But I do think him going up against someone that doesn't necessarily have as many fights, but he's actually kind of fought the who's. He's been lingering. He's 35 years old. I'm going to go straight to it. I'm talking about the black belt hunter, Rodolfo Vieira. Recently lost to Andre Petrowski. Again, 35 years old, so he's not some young 24-year-old that's surging up the rankings and is making a name for himself. We know we're again with Rodolfo. He's fought against an Anthony Hernandez, a Chris Curtis, a Derek Brunson. Like a Brad Tavares, that list kind of makes sense, in my opinion. What about you, brother?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, man. I'm actually not mad at that at all. I think that's a pretty solid shout. Other than that, I mean, I don't know, dude. I'm thinking maybe like a Bruno Ferreira, the Hulk.
I do like that.
Or the loser of Paul Craig. Or no, actually, no, the winner of Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bellato.
Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah, that can make sense.
Jacques Director said, give him Chris Curtis. Well, you know, Chris Curtis won't fucking say no. He signs every contract they send him, I think.
True.
Oh, we deserve 314. Last few weeks were pure shite, says Lane. Lane, you're welcome. This is all I asked for my birthday was a great fight card. And it just so happened that we got one of the best ones of the year. It might end up going down as the best one of the year. So again, you're welcome. And don't be sad that following week when we get 0 fights, because again, I asked for 2 things for my birthday. I asked for a great fight card on my birthday and for no fight card the following week because I'm going to be in Japan. And I got both. So here we go. With that being said, folks, we move on into the next fight between Cortavius Romeus and Lee Changho in the bantamweight division. Nano, Cortavius Romeus, obviously, if you've ever tuned into one of S-Dog's MMA talk shows where this man is fighting, we call him around here Contagious Rumors. And I know that's bad,
Fair,
but
fair.
in terms of his actual real name, can we just say that he should have been born in Roman times? Cortavius Romeus sounds like a king of like a Greek empire or something, bro.
No, literally, I like his name. I think it's exactly that. Cortavius Romeus of House Spartan.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I do know what you're saying. But unfortunately, he was not.
Cortavius Romeus of House Romeus, son of Vladimir Romeus,
The
the third ruler of the age.
I like how we both are on the third.
That was actually incredible. We did not rehearse that. That's perfect. Maximus Decimus Meridius.
Meridius. Oh, nice.
So good, bro. Lane fuck contagious. Yeah, you're not wrong. This is why we didn't bet on him, right? We bet on the favorite this time. Lee Changho went out there and was ready to go. It was 116 strikes to 14. And it was 44 significant strikes to 11. Nano, have you ever heard the term one-way traffic? Because this is what that felt like. 2-2 in terms of takedowns, but this is one of those times where not all numbers are created equal. Lee Changho just did more with the fight, more with the time given. And my freaking goodness. Juice Man just realized I'm an hour late. My goodness. That's okay. Hopefully that means you go back and rewatch the first half and then leave us a little comment in the comment section post-show. We'd appreciate the hell out of that, my friend. Yeah, man, Cortavius Romeus, I thought he had a chance at coming in here and getting it done, but I wasn't bullish enough to actually bet on him or put him on my underdogs picks. Again, he had a chance in the same way that the last shot of the show had a chance, which I'll be pouring up next. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a heavier chance. God damn it, Nano. This was just a great showcase for one man and a terrible, terrible falling from grace for the other. Lee Changho controlled the distance, controlled the range, made it look like an easier fight than it truly should have looked like for him against Contagious Rumors, Cortavius Romeus. If anything, I think, I like to toss it to you and say, Nano, what stood out to you the most? Or what did you learn about this fighter in this fight? I'll tell you what stood out to me the most. I'll tell you what I learned about this fighter in this fight. Nano, what stood out to me the most about both? One is Lee Changho. If I had, and I'm gonna keep it very short. I'm gonna do one words, right? Lee Changho, special. That's what I learned about him. If I had to sum it up in one word, he's special. Cortavius Romeus, if I had to sum it up in one word, what I learned about him, inexperienced. He has room for growth. He didn't lose this fight on skill. He lost this fight on experience and IQ. Cortavius got put on the ground and just didn't know what to do. But he's strong as hell. And when he got back up, he tried to grapple. Like, what? The fight IQ, man. I didn't even read this comment. Holy shit, Jack. Great timing. It's literally what I'm saying. Like, this was not a skill deficit issue, Nano. This was not a skill issue. It was a fight IQ issue. It was a brain issue. It was one fighter has been here in bad positions before and has like, oh, you know what? Guys better strike than me. Got to grapple. Or guys better grappler than me. Got to strike. This guy's like, well, the guy's a much better grappler than me. I should probably shoot a single leg with my head in the wrong place. I'm going to stop talking shit. It was bad, bro. Lee Changho, again, it was 14 to 116 strikes landed, right, Nano? I should probably let you know that this didn't even go past the second round. And there was that much of a deficit. Bro, if this went 15 minutes, we'd be looking at probably 200 strikes to 25 here. Or worse. So, Nano, kick me off the stool here. Am I wrong here? Lee Changho special? Cortavius Rumors? Needs to learn a little bit? And shout out Brianna Frost here. 12:20 a.m. in Philly. Happy Tuesday.
Outside.
Happy Tuesday to you. Thank you for staying up late for us. We really appreciate you, Brianna. We hope you're having a beautiful Monday, or I guess now a beautiful Tuesday morning.
Right. We'll catch up with you eventually, but until then, enjoy it. Let us know how it is. That's awesome. Yeah, listen, I mean, this was an absolute banger of a performance. I'm not going to kick you off the stool. should have kicked Cortavius off the stool and off the scale because he was 3 pounds over. So a little bit of a telltale sign there that wasn't going to be the best version of him that night, unfortunately. But Changho Lee, I don't think it would have mattered. I mean, you could have been a grizzly bear in his prime, and I think Changho Lee would have found a way to get it done. Okay, this guy really, really dominant in what he does. You know, the ground game, the pressure, the wantingness, the urge, that desire for violence to make his opponent bleed his own blood. It's very evident. It's crystal clear. So yeah, he is special, man. I think he is must-see TV. And I do think you throw him up into the Wolves, someone that is on a 2-fight win streak, someone like a Muin Tajik Gafarov, Muin, excuse me. I don't even know if that's right, but I think you throw him up with all the big dogs, maybe even a Peyton Talbot. I don't know. Why not? Actually, not good business.
Peyton Talbot.
But let the big dogs eat. What do you think, brother? How high is too high?
Crazy.
Or are you like,
I mean,
take him higher?
That's pretty wild, bro. That's a pretty wild one. Peyton Talbot, I just, you know how I feel about those types of fights, right? Because you're feeding an up-and-comer to another up-and-comer who's already kind of down on his luck, if we're being completely honest here. But I'll do you one better. Sav, if you're listening to this, I know you're friends with this guy as of right now. Earmuffs. What about like a Jonathan the Dragon Martinez? That's the high end that I'd go. Right? Highest end I'd go is Jonathan the Dragon Martinez. And then if we're dropping down from there, right? I would say, and again, call me crazy here, same trajectory, right? Just fought on the same card, Victor La Mangosta Henry. I think this is a fun fight. I think this is a tougher fight for him because, again, Lee Hung Cho went 2 for 4 on takedowns. I don't think he lands either of those 2 takedowns that he landed on Cortavius on a Victor Henry. Am I wrong here?
You ain't wrong. You ain't lying.
So that's the thing for me. Like, I think Victor Henry's probably the best test for him. Yeah, I like that fight a lot.
I like it.
I like that fight. That being said, we'll move on into the co-main event of the evening, folks.
It's time
for me to pour out that last shot because I got it wrong. Oh, man. Now, again, in my pre-fight breakdown, I did also say F'ing Sabatini is a live dog in this one. I'm just not going to put him on my underdogs competition. But I did say I put my money where my mouth is, and so we do. As we say on the show, a bet made, a debt paid. Because we don't fuck around with that shit here, you know. F'ing Sabatini, I literally said in my breakdown, if he's able to establish a grappling game early on, and again, you can check the record, bud. You can go back and check it out. It's on here for Thursday. All right? Hey, Juice Man, you had burrito? Load a bowl or pour a shot, baby. Let's go. You're with me. So did I. But I also said if Sabatini gets a takedown early and often, or sorry, I said if he gets it early, he's going to get it often. And he would probably end up just nudging out a pretty dominant decision if that happened. So, Lane, I defo had burrito all day. Lane, you defo have a shot to do all day. Let's go. Yeah. This was a tough one. I think we all had burrito here. This was another one of those ones that was almost unanimous. I think like 2 people had Sabatini. Douchebags on our underdogs competition. Nothing against Sabatini. I'm just mad because people got points and I didn't. With that being said, though, man, the way Sabatini got it done with that grappling is the same way we're going to get this last shot done, folks. Cheers to you. Cheers to us. Cheers to us doing it all without a fuss. And Pat Sabatini getting the win. The man really knows how to get it in when we're talking about a takedown. So we do this shot without a frown. We turn that frown upside down. Let's go, baby. Cheers. Lane said already did 3 shots for that loss. Woo. Well, you know what they say. 3's a lucky number, and this was an unlucky fight, so you should probably just go ahead and do a 4th one, round it on out. Man, I hated this fight as a guy who bet on Brito. Brito did all the wrong things, right? Like, I just feel like he did all the wrong things in this one. But before I steamroll through this, like I have done with so many of these fights tonight, Nano, I'm going to let you exhale that smoke. Inhale some oxygen. And then exhale some truth to our listeners right now.
I will do that. Thank you, my man. It was one-way traffic. I mean, Pat knew what he wanted to go out there and do. Mr. Sabatini, his style and everything was indicative for it, but dude is explosive at 34 years old to be able to go out there and just definitively beat your opponent when you were the underdog. You got to love it, right? Because everything I've seen from your Anderson Brito is he's a bad set of a gun. Dude's violent, wants to go out there, whip your ass, does it with a little bit of swagger, a little bit of moxie, so I like to say, as you point out. But that was not what we got on Saturday. What we got was a wrestling clinic. I mean, I played football, baseball, the other things. I did not wrestle in high school or growing up, so I cannot add additional color there other than just saying your Anderson really didn't have an answer. And like you kind of mentioned in the beginning there too, before you dished it back to me, your Anderson's making mistakes. You know, he didn't fight his best fight. He was kicking and doing things that are going to allow for a wrestler to go out there, grab a leg, get a single leg, clinch, get you up against the fence, and take you out of your game. And it was 15 minutes of just our boy Pat Sabatini putting in work. But I'm curious, man, 'cause he's in a spot now, man. Again, 34 years old, right? I mean, he's 24 ranked on Tapology. Sitting above him is a Steve Machin Garcia, but that's the neck of the woods that he's already in. So I'm curious to hear how far you want to shoot him up. But first, what are your thoughts on the fight? And as you obviously somewhat, as the people know, you didn't think Pat was going to get it done. So talk to us, man. What shocked you in this? Bout?
So I'll be honest. I literally prefaced this on the show last week with like, this is one that because I'm betting a shot on it, it's one that I'm just telling you, like, I'll be ready to drink by this point in the show. Like I knew this was a 45-55 pick'em. Even though Vegas wasn't representing that so much, like I thought Pat Sabatini was probably worth a bit of a sprinkle on Vegas odds. I just thought that if he was going to get it done, it was going to be decision or submission. I literally, again, in my breakdown, Nano, I know you were busy last week. You can go back and check it out. I said, if he gets the takedown early, he's going to get it often. And that's exactly what happened. He got 4 for 5 on it. For those of you that are bad at math, this is a pretty easy one. I didn't have to do a whole lot of hard conversions here. 80%. Right? Easy stuff. Pretty clean numbers. And pretty clean numbers is exactly that throughout the fight, right? Like, the man didn't land, and this might be an all-time stat, Nano. The man didn't land less than a 77.4% clip across the scoreboard. Lowest point of accuracy for him in the fight was significant strikes, and he landed 24 out of 31 attempted. That's stupid good. That is stupid good. 77.4%. Oh, by the way, total strikes, 135 out of 158. That's an 85.4% clip for those of you that are bad at math. If you average out his total strikes, significant strikes, and takedowns, dude hit an 80% clip. That's, again, stupid at the highest level. Like, you can do that at Fury. You can do that at Risen. You can do that outside of the UFC for the most part. And even then, it's impressive as all get out. But like doing it inside of the UFC, it's exactly what I said, bro. It is stupid. Like the accuracy in which he was landing with is so impressive. Yeah, Pat Sabatini really impressed me, man. And why was he so accurate? Well, I'll tell you. It's easier to be accurate when I'm on top of you. It's hard for me to miss when I'm on top of you. If you're standing and I throw at you, if I do that, you can do that. You can do that. You can move your head under and you can counter. If I'm on top of you and I'm throwing, good luck, bud. You're eating. That's what's happening. That's the mathematical equation that we are dealing with. So Pat Sabatini just put himself in a power position throughout the entirety of this fight. Racked up control time, racked up takedowns. And I think he can actually go on a bit of a run here, right? So, dude, Juice Man, that was definitely a head scratcher for me. Lane, Brito was exposed. Jack the Rector said true. Lane, moving on. All right, we'll move on. Lane. Are you doing a shot with us for the main car or the main event here, Lane? Jack the Rector, full course. Yeah, he ate a full course, bro. He ate a full course meal out of Joe Anderson Brito. Nano, before we move into this next fight, do you have a name on the tip of your tongue for young featherweight fighter, a.k.a. grappler, Pat Sabatini?
Yeah, he's a problem for anybody at this point. It's pretty crystal clear about that. But, man, we keep throwing his name out there, so I don't want to say Chepe again. But, dude, our boy Steve Mimachin Garcia, he needs a dance partner, man. I miss seeing Mimachin go out there and fight. So I'd love to see maybe that's someone who's willing to answer the bell, looking to get in there sooner rather than later. Because after that, I mean, there's only the place from there is up, right? And I don't know, do you got somebody higher than that makes more sense?
You know, I do. Somebody that's higher than that's coming off of 2 back-to-back losses. Another person that we're a bit of a fan of here, right? Super Sadiq Youssef, coming off a decision loss in 2023 and a TKO loss last year in 2024. He needs to bounce back and get his get back here. And I think this is not an easy chance at it, but a chance at it nonetheless, right? Super Sadiq Youssef versus Pat Sabatini is a fun match, in my opinion. And again, like, it's one of these things that just matches up trajectory-wise. And I think if he goes out there and he beats like a Sadiq Youssef, he sets himself up to fight one of the Arnold Allens of the world. And that's a fun match.
I definitely agree, brother. Yeah, I mean, he's right. Man, I mean, after a performance like that, again, a dominant 15-minute bout over, Anderson Brito, who was pretty much on that same trajectory. It speaks volumes. And he's 34 years old. I mean, we've seen crazier things. We've seen guys get shots. I mean, you really never know, right? I mean, I'd love to see it, man. I'd love to see him get thrown up into the gauntlet because he definitely made a case for it. What up, Big Onk?
Speaking of love to see it, Big Onk MMA. What's good? What's good is that you're in the chat now, my friend. We've been waiting for you all night. Pat, grappling, definitely something to keep an eye on in future fights. Dude, you ain't lying. Peace, Anakin. Juice Man, why are you leaving, bro? You going to bed? You mad at the main event? What happened?
The juice. Where you going?
The juice. We need the juice, bro. The juice is loose. Speaking of juice being loose, my goodness, man. This featherweight bout between Josh Emmett and Lerone the Miracle Murphy. My brother in Christ. If this ain't a fight that went exactly as I predicted it going, man, if I'm lying, I'm dying. This was a great fight. Like, look, if you're an MMA purist, you enjoyed this fight. If you're an MMA casual, you hated this fight. That's pretty much my breakdown. Like, I could look, you know me, Nano. I could talk for 25 fucking minutes, just as long as the fight lasted. I can go on about how Lerone Murphy had the best footwork he needed to have in that featherweight bout against Josh Emmett. And because he had the greatest footwork you've seen him have, it was the worst fight you've seen him have. I could say he played a scared game. I could say he played a smart game. I could say Josh Emmett should have committed more, rushed in more, been a little bit more reckless, thrown, abandon to the wind and just caution to the wind and rush forward with reckless disabandon. But all that just to say, all of those things are right and none of those things are right, Nano. The best way to sum it up is Lerone Murphy. Actually, no, I'll start with Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett fought a Josh Emmett-esque fight. It was a Josh Emmett-esque performance. Lerone Murphy fought the perfect fight to fight against a Josh Emmett performance. And I don't care if you liked it. I'm sorry, with all due respect, I love every one of you people in the chat. But with all due respect, if you were bored during this fight, I don't care. Lerone Murphy just fought in a main event. He beat one of the most dangerous knockout artists in the division pound for pound right now. And he didn't even get dropped, not even close to it. So with all due respect, this man went and fought a guy that should have been able to put him on skates at the very least. And instead of getting put on skates, he got put on a plane back home with 2 paychecks. So I know you guys really want me to boo. As Khabib would say, I know you don't like this, brother. I know you don't like this. Obviously, you know, Khabib would follow it up by, I don't know, something like,
I'm gonna smash your boy.
you know what I mean? But for me, I'll just say this. I know you don't like this. But when a good fighter who fought a smart fight gets 2 paychecks, all I can do is... That's it. That's it. Juice Man, yeah, he escaped 5 rounds against a beast. Respect, bro. As they say in Brazil, respect. Boring AF, Lane. That's fine. I get it. It was boring. But it was also one man landing 44 shots and another man landing 117. And the guy that you guys wanted to get the knockout landed 41 significant strikes, and his opponent landed 84. Tell me how to be mad at the guy who landed double the significance. It takes 2 for a boring fight. I say this all the time when it's a Khabib or an Islam fight. If my guy that I'm voting for, that I've trained with, that I am from the home gym of, is on top of your guy, and you're upset about it, and he's upset about it, I would tell you to encourage your guy to learn to do something about it. You don't like that the guy's not chasing you? You don't like that he's cutting you off and making you chase him? Tell him to do something about it, with all due respect. It's Emmett's fault for making it boring. It is not Lerone Murphy's. If you and me are sparring, Nano, with all due respect, I know there's a deficit in training, obviously, right? You're much bigger than me. So this is exactly the situation. You've got strength. You got one-shot knockout power. I have skills when it comes to footwork. I am going to make you get on a fucking bicycle and chase me. And when you get tired, I'm going to leg kick you and make you go even slower. And then I'm going to jab you up and make you go even slower. And then once your hands are up here, I'm going to the body. You know why? You know why? You probably guess. To make you go even slower. So again, miss me with the bullshit. Like, everyone wants to talk shit about Lerone Murphy for this fight and it being boring. Tell Josh Emmett to learn better footwork. Tell him, instead of chasing his opponent, to cut them off at the baseline. That's literally like week 3, week 4 stuff at AKA. And it's no shade to Team Alpha Male. They're one of my favorite gyms. I love watching Team Alpha Male. But again, props to Murphy. This is it right here. This is the comment of the night right here. When it comes to this fight, props to Murphy. It is nothing against Emmett. It is everything to Murphy. Murphy simply had him beat. He had the better footwork. And if you don't know what to do about it, you'll hear the commentator say 20 times during a 25-minute fight, he's chasing him. He really needs to cut him off here. And if he doesn't start cutting him off, well, that's what you're going to keep hearing, because I'm going to keep doing it. If I jab you and it's hitting, guess what I'm going to do 100 more times throughout this 25-minute fight? I'm going to jab the fuck out of you, bro. You're not going to like it, but I'm going to love it. Okay? So, look, all that, and I'm just going to jump off the bar stool. I'm not even going to give this guy a chance to kick me off. No. Tell us how you felt about this Lerone Murphy fight. Like, am I drinking the Kool-Aid too much here, or was this an enjoyable, dominant performance?
It was exactly that, right? I mean, I think Josh Emmett is a perfect parameter for whether you got that dog in you or not, right? And I think what we saw on Saturday night was exactly that. Like Juice Man said, wasn't boring. Like Big Ox mentioned in here as well. Murphy's still undefeated, doing what is best for it. Exactly that. I mean, he's great at what he does. You know, you can make a case. You know, he kind of was a slow starter, but then again, they both were in that first round or two, right? I mean, 20 total strikes landed between the both of them. Josh got the takedown in that first round. Second round, kind of similar thing. Josh Emmett attempted 5 takedowns, which, I mean, how often are you really seeing Josh Emmett do that kind of thing, right? As Lane's saying here in the comments, jab 1, 2, 3, and jab 1, 2, 3, boring AF. meat and potatoes, like we like to say around here as well, and like MMAnomaly's doing in his domain over there in his dojo, happily displaying that for us as well. But it is what it is. Again, I thought it was a slow start, but once Lerone got his the distance management, once he started getting his reads, we knew the speed was going to be a problem. We knew the striking variety was going to be a problem. Like you mentioned, ripping the body. Most men are going down by some of those shots, but fucking Josh Emmett just kept moving forward, which you absolutely love to see. And these are two of the baddest to do it right now. So with that all being said, Lerone Murphy, man, he's making a name for himself, as we like to say around here as well. Gambit style, brother. I mean, this is that performance, right? You go out there, you have a stable victory like this. And to his point, he didn't get the knockout victory or didn't have the whole shit moment, so he didn't necessarily want to call for a title shot or anything like that. But there's a lot of guys in this top 10 that pose a lot of problems. I mean, that honestly, when just how the division is right now, everything's kind of locked up at the moment. But there's a couple good names, man. I don't know. What do you think? What's next for Mr. Murphy? Are you sipping the Kool-Aid? Are you sending him all the way up to the top, or are you granting his wish into Brian Ortega? Maybe. What are you thinking there?
Look, man. I think there's two names that make sense for him, right? And number one at the top of that list, it's got to be Brian Ortega, man. It's got to be. He made the call out. It makes sense. Trajectory wise, they line up like this is exactly what it should be. Ortega versus Murphy in Noche September. Let's go, Big Hunk. You already know what it is, baby. Other than that, I did have one name, or rather, one half of a name, I guess, or two names, two halves of a name. I don't know what the fuck how you declare it, but either way, the loser of a fight is who I think he should fight next. If not Ortega. Call me crazy on this one. Patricio Pitbull versus Yair Rodriguez, the loser of that fight.
I like that. I like that a lot. That makes sense. Him and Yair would be crazy. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine
that's the one I want to see. I think Pitbull beats Yair. I think he grapple fucks him. And then, like, you give us Lerone Murphy versus Yair Rodriguez. Like, Yair will do everything Josh Emmett didn't do to make it dangerous and weird and funky. Genuinely.
Yeah. You're right about it. You know that.
I know you're right about it. Oh, man. Folks, with that being said, that's the final fight of the evening. I mean, that's it. That's it as far as the fights go. Nano. Were there any? I know there was a lot of new fights announced and things like that. Were there any new fights announced that you were super excited to talk about before we call it a show?
Appreciate that, my brother. I mean, honestly, we were kind of talking offline about it, but just the fact that our boy Ian Machado Gary stepped up to fight Carlos effing Prates. I mean, my gosh, that is just. And honestly, people hate on Ian Machado.
We may or may not be working on some new merch regarding that.
I know. Stay tuned, y'all. That to me is so exciting, man. That's so exciting. And Machado Gary is just slowly making a name for himself as just an absolute dog, someone that's willing to go out, answer the bell. What more can you ask? I love it. What about you, man? What are you thinking?
Dude, I love that we have people in the comments right now hitting us with exactly what I wanted to talk about. Aaron Pico with the Dana White privilege, he says. What do we feel about that? What do we feel about this Aaron Pico fight? Did you hear about it? Are you excited about it? What do you think about it, Nano?
I mean, supposedly he's pretty legit, isn't he?
He's extremely legit. He mixed it up with us boys at AKA for quite some time. Yeah. So you know I'm a fan. A little bit of bias there.
I reckon it's worth it.
You already know me, bro. Go hard for the AKA guys.
You agree then, right? You think that's a proper spot for him, I suppose?
I mean, he's making his debut against the Movsar Evloev. reportedly turned down numerous fights against top-level opposition, including a Diego Lopez rematch, before accepting the fight against a Aljamain Sterling. So, I don't know, man. I feel like he's selectively choosing his fights, and that's why Dana and the brass are kind of coming down on him like, hey, we're going to make you fight this fucking guy, you know? Yeah, I'm excited. Lane said, super excited to see Ian get slept. Lane trains with your boy Charles. Big Onk says, oh no, Lane, don't do us like that. Don't do us like that. Let us know in the chat. Are you a fan of these three things? You could just say yes in the chat right now if it's a yes to any of these three. Are you a fan of Ian Gary? Are you a fan of Carlos Prates? Are you a fan of Street Fighter? Let us know in the comments. All you have to do is say yes or no. If it is yes to any of them, then it's a yes. If it is a no to all of them, then it's a no. Big Onk, I'm seeing yes, no, yes, which to me, at the risk of saying this in 2025, looks like a yes. Okay. Bad jokes aside. Oh, man. Aaron Pico. Pico's the guy-o, okay? He's Pico's the guy-o? Come on! Nobody on that one. Come on. All right. I thought it was money, bro. I thought it was money in the bank. Pico's the guy-o. I'm surprised I've never heard anybody else say that fucking terrible joke. Probably because it's that bad. You heard it here first, folks. Pico's the guy-o. And we know that here on the MMAnomaly Show. Somebody clip that. Post that on Twitter. Tag us. At MMAnomaly, at Jive Turkey Nano. You see the tags. This is a fun fight for him. Right? Movsar Evloev is 19-0. Pico the guy-o is he's a beast in his own right. He's 13-4. But the difference is, like Jeremy Stevens said to the man, the myth, the legend, Conor McGregor, and of course when he said this to him, right? Jeremy Stevens said, I'm the hardest hitting 145er in the world. When I hit them, they don't fucking move. To which Conor responded,
Who the fuck is that guy?
Right? But he's not wrong. When he hits them, they don't fucking move. You know who else? When he hits them, they don't fucking move. Aaron Pico, the guy-o. He knocks people out cold. But the thing is, have you ever heard of a Pedro Carvalho, a Henry Corrales, a James Gonzalez, a Nadila Edwards? Probably not. Right? They're not household names. So I'm wondering if Pico the guy-o can get these knockouts on top-level competition. Right? And it's going to be tough against the Movsar Evloev. But I'm here for it. And I'm excited for it. And I am definitely going to be paying attention for it. I mean, there's so many good fights that just recently got announced, if I'm being honest.
There really are.
One that I have to call out, though, and I've already got a shot poured up because it's like a celebratory, like we told you so kind of moment here. We called this on the show. We literally called this on the show some time ago, folks. Right after Edmund Shabazian's last fight, we called this. I don't know if you remember. I think it's one that we agreed on. Edmund Shabazian will fight Andre Petroski at UFC Atlanta on June 14th. We literally said that needs to be the one to happen next after these men's last performance. So
they heard us.
It's a fun fight. I don't know who I'm going to bet on. I will tell you it's probably going to be highly dictated on two things. What they look like at the weigh-ins on the actual scales, not the ceremonial bullshit, but on the actual live, like real weigh-ins, and what the betting line is on that Friday morning at 9 a.m. PST. Because, man, that makes a big fucking difference, huh, Nano?
Couldn't agree more, my brother. That's a huge difference.
If we got a minus 500 versus a pick'em, if we got one guy that looks tough on the scales, you already know If it's a minus 500 and the plus looks tough on the scales, we're not betting on this fight, people. We're staying the hell away from it like it is a landmine. Okay. But if it's a pick'em and we're leaning, and then we see that a guy looks like trash on the scale, and that's the guy we're leaning against, God forbid they're giving us dog odds, brother. We're gonna smash that line. That's how we usually break on here. I think we can openly admit that that's how we're sitting up units, even after being down for 2 weeks in a row. All it takes is a couple big breaks to stay up for most of the year, as long as you're not betting silly, right? Ooh.
That's facts.
Oh, yes! This is one I missed. Sorry, I got excited. Macy Chasson, one of my only fighters that hasn't gone yet in the competition that we have, the UFC fantasy competition. She had a fight. It fell through. It just got rescheduled. UFC Vegas 107. Ketlin Vieira will face Macy Chasson. May 31st. Chasson. Let's go, baby. I had poured up the shot for the one that we were right about, but I mean, I'll take it for the fact that my fighter got a fight. Let's go. Cheers, folks. Whether you're drinking beer, whiskey, or anywhere in between, water, cider, doesn't matter. Either way, we appreciate you. Raise up whatever you got in your hand. Cheers it to the screen. Do it like you mean it, folks. We appreciate you being here. You could be anywhere this Monday and you're right here with us, so cheers to you. Man, Macy Chasson. That's
a fun one. Can't wait to break it down with you.
I like that fight for her too, because that's the original one she had scheduled, and I think she wins it.
Yeah, I think so.
I was like, oh wait, I just saw Ketlin on the thing. And I was like, wait, no, does somebody have her? Oh, somebody does have her. Oh, Drew.
Of course,
Drew.
Of
I
course,
saw you here. I saw you here just a few minutes ago. He was sent into the fire early before he got kneed in the face. Brother, are you still in here? Because it's looking like it's going to be a you versus a me. And we're going to have a shot bet on that. You already know, baby. So let's get after it. I'm excited. I am excited. Also, Big Onk said, Kelvin versus Joe has been moved to Newark in June. Well, should be a fun fight. I won't be making a second trip to go to a Newark, New Jersey pay-per-view or fight night, though it was a fucking blast. The one time I did go, I saw Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier, met the Bud Light Genie, met Dustin Poirier, met all those dudes. Man. Well, he does have hair and a beard, so +5 powers.
Touche.
I'm excited, fellas. Excited, I tell you. Juice Man, which one are you most excited for? Tell me. Which fights are you most excited for? And Drew, how are you feeling about Ketlin Vieira versus Macy Chasson? You think your girl Ketlin gets it done, or you think that's not a favorable matchup for her? Because I like Macy in that one, and I'm down to raise the stakes. Down to do 5 units, you versus me on that one, and a double shot of whiskey on that one, if you're down. Let me know. Let me know, brother.
Let us know.
You tell me someone who wants to bet on that fight, and I'll tell you someone who's fucking wrong. I'll tell you that.
Facts.
Oh man, we could go on these fights all fucking night, I swear. A whole card almost, not even kidding. I just got off the phone with my friends going over the card. That's why I'm barely coming back. Juice Man, my guy. Juice Man, I don't know how you feel about speaking on camera, if you have a decent mic at all, but love your attitude, love your personality. If you're ever down to jump on, would love to have you on, my friend. And any of you guys, if like, you know, obviously we're not going to pressure you guys to be on for a whole episode or anything, but if you're in the chat right now, if you want to be on, let me know. Shoot me a DM on Instagram or X, Twitter, whatever you call it, at MMAnomaly. You see it right here underneath me. Shoot me a DM. Tell me, hey, Olin, I want to be on the show. This is the fight card I'm excited about. And then take it one step further. Tell me this is the fight I am most excited about. If there is a fight that you are supremely excited about, we'll switch it over to a 3-man view or a 2-man, 1-woman view. Looking at you, Lane. Jump on here. Give us your thoughts, comments, concerns. Amy, if you're listening too, we'd love to have you on. If there's a fight you're fucking psyched about. Miss Mary, anybody, let's fucking go. We want you all on.
The water's warm.
Not at the same time. It gets a little bit confusing. But, we'd love to have you guys on, seriously. Anytime, all time, any day, all day. We'd love to have you guys on, seriously. Like, tell us a fight card you're excited about. Tell us a fight specifically you are excited about. Main card, Drew, got a nice ring to it.
That does got a nice ring to it.
Drew, I'm going to be tagging
Drew.
you in, sitting next to me here in the studio next week, baby. You already know. We do some live content. It's going to be a good one. And seriously, folks, we appreciate each and every one of you. We got over 50 of you viewing us live right now. We know that number is going to go up because the community turns out in full numbers whenever we do these things. And I just want to say thank you. We haven't been doing it too long. The numbers have been really, really growing, especially in the last few months. And it's all because of you guys. So we appreciate each and every one of you. Do us a comment, do us a favor. Hit that like, comment, subscribe, smash the bell for notifications, folks. And please, 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 if you could do us a huge favor on this episode, right after we wrap up, after the live comments close, leave an actual comment under the video and tell us what fight you're most excited to hear us break down in Thursday's episode. All right, we are going to be back live Thursday or Friday. We're going to be breaking down these fights for you all, and we cannot wait to bring some color commentary to the pre-fight breakdowns of these 314 fights because they are bangers from top to bottom, folks. So thank you again from the bottom of our hearts. Jump on over to YouTube at MMAnomaly. Leave those comments. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you smash that bell, right? So that way you know when we're live next time. And we'll see you in the chat then, folks. And if you do nothing I asked you to do throughout the entire last hour and 47 minutes, just do these two things, please. Keep on going. Keep on growing, folks. We'll see you in a few days. Let's go.
You've been listening to the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. As you may have been able to tell, we dig the MMA, and our passion is to dive deep into the upcoming fights, give you our expert breakdowns, and help you make sense of all the chaos that is the fight game. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, make sure to find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at MMAnomaly. Be cool, and we'll see you next time.